Okay, first we have to set up the percent proportion. Okay, so we can see that the word of is in front of the number 25, so the of number is 25. The word is in front of the number 20, so 20 is the is number. And they are asking what's the percent number. So we're going to use the letter P to represent the unknown percent. Now step one, you have to cross multiply. You're going to have 100 times the number 20. When you multiply those, you can use this trick where you drop down the 0. That's a 0 right there. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0 again. And 2 times 1 is 2, so you get 2,000. Now for step 2, you're going to divide by the remaining number. I'm not going to use that color to divide because, it's going to be hard to see, so we'll use black. So 2,000 divided by the remaining number, which is 25, will give us the missing percent number. So 2,000 divided by 25 is 80. If you want to see how to do it the old-fashioned way, you can just put 2,000 inside of the division house. 25 goes on the outside. I know that 25 doesn't fit inside of 2, doesn't fit inside of 20, but it does fit inside of 200, and it fits inside of there 8 times. So I'm going to put the 8 above that final digit right there. Now 8 times 25 is 200. When you subtract, you got to bring down the 0. Of course, 200 take away 200 is 0. And, here's our situation, though. 25 doesn't fit inside of 0. So we're going to put a 0 right there, and 0 times 25 is 0 again, which means that we're done, running out of space on the bottom. But my answer is going to be 80. Okay, so first we need to set up our percent proportion. We have a situation where the number 5 is in between the word is, but it also has a percent on it. And in these situations, the percent always wins. So 5 is going to go in the percent space, right? Let's look at the next part. It says of 60. Since the word of is in front of the number 60, then 60 is going to go in that space in there. That's your of space. And we don't know what's the is number. That's what they're asking. So we're going to use a variable m. Step 1, you have to cross multiply. So that's 60 times 5. When you multiply that, as you can see, 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30. So we're going to get, switch the color there. We're going to get 300 total. Now step 2, you have to divide by the remaining number. And our remaining number is 100. So 300 divided by 100 is equal to 3. And what that's saying is that, 5% of 60, it's not a very big number. 3 is only 5% of 60. It's just a small part of it. Okay? All right, let's look at the next one. This one's going to be a lightning round one, guys. Okay, so first you have to set it up. All right, so they're literally asking us what's the of number. That's just another way you could say it. So step 1, cross multiply. 26 times 100, if you multiply that out, you are going to get 2,600. Okay? I didn't show the work for it, but you could easily verify that for yourself. Step 2, you have to do the division, and we're going to go 2,600 divided by 40, and that is equal to 65. And if you're not sure how to do that, you can verify it by putting this in your calculator, and you'll see that that's what you get, or you can do it the good old-fashioned way. I will leave that up to you. Okay, so starting out, we're going to use the percent proportion to find the missing part, the missing whole, or the missing percent. Remember, there's really only 2 steps to this. After you set it up, you're going to cross multiply, and then you're going to divide by the remaining number. Okay, yesterday we practiced setting up the problem for guided practice 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to go ahead and set those up so that we can start where we left off. All right, so let's go ahead and just jump right into it, okay? Step number 1 is you are going to cross multiply. 9 times 100 is equal to 900. You divide that by 90. I'm just going to stack it on top of each other because this is one of those situations where the zeros cancel out and you're going to get 90 over 9, which is the same thing as 10. So 9 is 10% of 90, and that's your final answer. Okay. All right, we're going to look at the next one now. Problem number 2. They want to know what is 2% of 35. Analyze that, guys. 2%. It's not a very big number. 35 isn't that big to start with, so our final result should be something relatively small. First, you're going to go 2 times 35. You multiply those together, and you should get 70. Next, you're going to divide 70 by 100. And it turns out that 2% of the number 35 is actually just 0.70. Okay, so it's 0.70. That's our final answer for that one. All right, last but not least, we're going to do guided practice part 3. Problem 3. Okay, so first step, cross multiply. So 62 times 100 is 6,200. A little bit of mental math for you. The trick when you have those is you literally just take this number, and when you multiply it by 100, you just add the 2 zeros behind it. We're going to divide that by our remaining number, which is 90.5. Do not put the percent on it if you do that in the calculator, guys, because what the calculator does automatically is it moves the decimal 2 spaces to the left, and it totally changes your answer. Okay, so from right here, we're running out of space. If you divide 6,200 divided by 90.5, you can do it the old-fashioned way, or you can put it in your calculator. The numerator always goes first. We're going to divide by the denominator, which is 90.5, and you're going to round to 68.5 because the 5 is in the 10th place. In our directions, they tell us round to the nearest 10th if necessary, and it was necessary because we ended up with several digits after the decimal, for those of you who put it in your calculator and did that calculation. Guys, you got to do a little bit of analysis here. 62, that's the part. It's not the whole thing. It's just a piece of it. Now, if it's 90.5% of that larger number, it's, your answer should be a little bit bigger. 62 is most of it. So it turns out that the whole is 68.5, and 62, it's almost all of 68.5, but it's not quite there. So that is our final answer. All right, the last one we're going to focus on is problem number 4, which is somewhat of a challenge problem, not too bad. Brand A cereal contains 10 cups of cereal. They want to know how many more cups of cereal are in brand B cereal. So you got to be careful with that. They're not asking how many cups are in brand B. They want to say how many more cups there are. So you have to figure that out first, how many cups are in it, before you can figure out how many more. Okay, step number 1, set up your proportion. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So I'm just going to walk you guys through it. Okay, the first thing is we know that 100 is always in the denominator of your percent fraction. Now, guys, if you look in the picture for brand B cereal, there's 30% more cereal than brand A. So 100% plus 30% is 130%. Okay, there's more cereal than the regular brand A. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to say, well, look, if I'm comparing brand A, or if we're talking in terms of brand A, like brand A is 100%, brand A should be what we put on the bottom. So we know there's 10 cups of cereal in brand A. Question is, how many cups are in brand B, right? So I'm going to put a B for the unknown. All right, now this is where it's a little bit easier because you're just going to multiply 10 times 130, and that'll give you 1,300. From there you have to do step 2, divide by the remaining number, which is 100, and you're going to get 13. So brand B cereal has 13 cups, but they don't want to know how many cups it has. They want to know how many more cups does it have than brand A, which only has 10. So if you look at that, what's the difference between brand A versus brand B? How many more cups does it have? Oh, well, to go from 10 to 13, it has 3 more cups. Little critical thinking never hurt anybody. All right, have a good day.